We're now 3 months away from the first DCU movie and the first foray into live action in this universe, Superman. We've now gotten a sneak peek showing an entire 3.5-minute scene from start to finish, or at least most of it, before a slightly tweaked version of the original trailer that adds elements of the prior teaser trailer and minor new added additions. Anyway, this movie looks fantastic, and in this video I want to talk about everything there is to talk about from this sneak peek. The scene begins exactly like the trailer, but with more establishing shots of this beautiful on-location shot environment. Superman falls to the ground and we learn later he's really injured, like 14 fractured bones and damage to many different organs. He also screams in agony, like a lot here, when Krypto jumps on him, when he has to move to get his cape, and when the yellow sunlight is shot at him. I'm sure there are a lot of Snyder purists who will say this is a bad thing, that this version of Superman is super weak compared to Cavill's. And I don't know, maybe he is weaker, but I really don't mind. He's clearly still extremely powerful, just maybe with a slightly worse healing factor than usual. I think these scenes did a fantastic job at immediately humanizing him. Laying there defeated and injured, he groans in pain and screams through the pain of his body repairing itself like anyone else would. That in particular really struck with me. Like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. He heals in the yellow sunlight, but healing for us usually hurts like a lot. Why wouldn't it hurt him? He's not immune to pain, he's invulnerable, but if something did cause him injury, it makes sense that him healing from that would hurt. I think showing him in physical pain made him feel a lot more human, and that's a much more interesting character. Honestly, the scene being the first one out there feels like a direct response to the Snyder movies, like it intentionally draws that distinct line, telling everybody this is an entirely new take. In the Snyder movies, Superman was portrayed as a non-feeling god. I can't imagine him groaning or struggling in any way, and I'm sure his purest fans would also lose respect for him if he did. But wow, did that make for such a boring character. That's not the type of Superman that I'm interested in at all. Any of the takes of Superman's too boring, you can't do anything with him, it's because of things like that, where he doesn't feel human. Clark groaned in genuine pain when Krypto jumped on him, pressing against his broken bones. I gotta say, this cracked me up, genuinely got some real laughs out of me. That was a trifecta of a funny, great introduction to this version of Krypto, and a further humanizing Superman scene. Krypto's CGI looks great, but I also think James Gunn stumbled onto something special here. I've always liked Krypto in concept, and it's always fun to see him being used, but I think turning him into a messy troublemaker of a dog instead of a loyal, order-following one was genius. Already, he's hilarious, has tons of personality, more so than any other version of Krypto who didn't actually talk, and I have no doubt that this will lead into some sort of emotional or heroic moment involving Krypto in the climax. Gunn is a master of getting me to cry over animals, so I'm sure that will happen here too. The more I see of him, the more and more I get excited for Krypto, the more he becomes more likely to be one of my favorite parts of this movie, and the more I want them to change Krypto into being more like this in the comics, because it's more fun, it's more interesting. The Fortress of Solitude looks gorgeous. I love this particular design and how it comes out of the ground. Gunn fully embraces the silliness of comic book universes, not having to justify things to make them more realistic, and this is a great example of that. Superman has a giant ice fortress in the Arctic that comes out of the ground and is full of cape-wearing robots, and this might not ever be explained because it just doesn't have to be. The inside of the fortress also looks really nice. It's clear this movie has had more than enough time to polish its CGI, because the scene, as full of CGI as it is, looks spotless. They might have even used CGI in the suit to tighten it a bit in the torso. I didn't mind the looser look, but also I would get if they did do that. I think in the lighting of this fortress, the suit looks really good. The patterns even look really cool in these particular shots. I seem to like the suit more than most though, so let me know your opinion in the comments. The Superman robots are lifted directly from All-Star Superman, complete with the numbered Superman logo and the cape. These versions are blue and have a very different looking head, but I love their look, much more unique than their All-Star Superman counterparts, but generally they just look really good. I'm sure the reason Gunn decided to use the numbers is to differentiate between the robots and give them all distinct personalities, so that we get connected to them before at least one of them definitely will get destroyed. In fact, we already see that in a shot or two. If you made it this far into the video, you'd probably enjoy more videos like this, so make sure to check if you are subscribed or not, and if you aren't, definitely click that button. Here we see 4 of at least 12 robots. This seems like 12 because number 12 is said to be new. This includes robot number 1, and then number 4, who sounds exactly like Dr. Phosphorus, Clayface, and Will Magnus from Creature Commandos. Which is interesting because he says automatons, which Will Magnus also said in Creature Commandos. I don't know if that was on purpose or anything. Obviously, he's voiced by Alan Tudyk. Then there's robot number 5, apparently voiced by Michael Rooker, and number 12, who has a female voice that I don't recognize, but is also apparently the newest one. Maybe something went wrong with her creation, but she has way more personality and emotion than at least number 4. I cannot wait to feel more emotion over a robot's death than Superman himself. Man, I am so glad we're no longer following that version of Superman. The scene is a great display of Superman's inherent kindness, thanking the consciousnessless robots and smiling at the new one right after being told that they don't have a consciousness, because, well, kindness is just inherent to who he is, something that we'll get focus on in this movie. During the scene, you also hear what the captions refer to as Kryptonian chatter, feeling like it comes from just throughout the fortress, giving it a bit of a museum vibe, like a museum about a fallen civilization from days gone by. It's a nice vibe given to the fortress. Getting to the trailer part of things, we hear Lex's voice for the first time saying he's back when referring to Superman. Nothing really to go off of here, it's just the first time we hear Lex, and obviously Nicholas Hoult is doing an American accent. We then get a more clear shot of Guy Gardner fighting what is likely Solaris. We see a big green beam coming from him. I'm guessing Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl are there too, but they don't glow so you can't see them from afar. Superman, after fighting Lex Luthor and kaijus and whatever, likely feels torn down and defeated, and also probably believes the other heroes can handle it. But then, in the scene, it seems like Lois helps him get back into the fight, after what is apparently, I don't know if that's here or earlier, but apparently this movie will have like a 10-minute long conversation scene between Clark and Lois about their relationship, about their places in the world, and that sounds really unique and interesting. Either way, for this shot in particular, I think it looks gorgeous. The colors really pop, looking especially good at nighttime. The Clark and Lois scenes are also given extra context by James Gunn, who said that they've been dating for a few months and that Clark is madly in love, but Lois is not necessarily sure about the relationship yet, which is where the drama comes from. I really like the idea of the reason Lois being unsure is that she's dating what is essentially a god, and so she doesn't feel like she measures up. But eventually, Clark proves that despite his immense power, he's just as human and as flawed as her, and that he sees the entirety of humanity as his equals. That would make Lois relatable and more likable, while also cementing Clark's humanity. Regardless, I'm definitely looking forward to this version of Clois. Again, the Snyder films, I hate to harp on it over and over again, but they fumbled that iconic couple. Cavill and Adams had zero chemistry. Apparently, and you can see that in interviews, these two's chemistry is electric. If it's anything like Hecklin and Tulak, or going further back, Tom Welling and Erica Durrance, then we could be in for something special, a great adaptation of what could possibly be the greatest couple in fiction. So that's it for the new stuff, but man, I love the moments of people chanting Superman, the look of this movie, the vibe it's giving off, and I'm so glad we're finally getting a modern day Superman movie that truly understands the character. From the moments that we've seen and from what Gunn has said, I think he genuinely does.